Hello and welcome to the Rites of Passage for 1984 lockdown. I am here with the final three. We have Beth, Caleb, and Zach. So the three of them will be looking back on the season and the house guests that are no longer with us during the season. We will go through each person in order of eviction, and then each of you can say whatever you'd like about that person or that round. We love a double Beth. We'll let her connect audio. During each person, you can talk about that round, that person, whatever you'd like. And yeah, so we will get started with Marvin.
Who wants to go first?
I mean,
I'll start,
yeah,
I
go for
guess. Since I was the only one who knew Marvin, and apparently I threw him under the bus to get him nominated that round. Did kind of do that. So Marvin, I am sorry. You're a great guy. Yeah, but that round is pretty crazy because immediately me and Rachel were called out. And yeah, that first round was really something. Dylan,
was on a witch hunt.
Wild HOH reign.
But rip Marvin. Marvin was great. He talked to me the second he was put up on the block. Not before, but right after. Rip a legend.
He definitely talked to me for a little bit before the noms happened.
Nice.
But that whole first week was really rough just to like talk to people in general. But I was just torn. I didn't know who to vote for between the two of them. I was super torn, and then everyone wanted to keep Rachel, and I was like, well, I'm not about to put a target on my back by voting out.
Everybody was scared of Rachel.
Yeah. So I was just like, But Marvin was awesome. He was a super nice person that during the time that I did talk to him, and he was a sassy little firecracker when he needed to be.
Definitely is a sassy little firecracker. I love you, Marvin. You were gone too soon.
True.
Okay, so next we'll move on to Josh.
Oh, I loved Josh. He was nice. When we talked, it was great. He was nice. He was wonderful. I really wanted to work with him farther into the game.
I thought he was super sweet, but we never talked really. Like he just seemed really nice in the house chat, and I was like, oh, I want to talk to him. And then we never crossed paths during his time in the game.
Out of all the pre-jury, Josh is the one person I wish I would have fought more for them to stay, because I don't know. Me and Josh had a call. We did have one call. We talked a little bit. We knew each other previously, but we never played a game. And I was really excited to play with him, but we were nom next to each other that week. And I wanted both of us to stay. And then Sandy was the renom. It's a situation where like no one really wanted to go to Sandy. So he got a really sticky situation. So robbed, honestly.
Seriously, robbed.
He gives me such his photo gave me such confidence that reminded me of like Brian's gameplay, where I was like, oh, I wish I saw him in the game longer, because I feel like he would have been a power player.
He would have been a power player.
For sure.
Okay, next is Dylan.
Dylan
happened that round, but I love Dylan.
Dylan was entertaining. Dylan, I have watched you call me out multiple times, and I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but that was so funny. And Dylan, I'm sorry that New York thing never happened, but had you just not put up Rachel round one and did Constance like most of us had wanted, I really think he would have gone far in this game. But he made a really big mistake with those first noms, and I couldn't trust him because of that. But he's a great guy, and is very funny, very entertaining. And I kind of wish we got to see a few more rounds of him if he wasn't so against me.
He really dug his own grave there.
It was rough. It was definitely rough after the first round, but God, the vibes were immaculate.
They were.
He's talking crystals and went, this man. Absolutely. He came in with a witch costume. He
had to
went
hex
above
one of
and
us.
beyond and was absolutely cut way too short.
He was great. I just do think he messed up the first week, and he really could have had a long run in this game. I do believe. And
I think this cast was like anti-drama right at the beginning, and he started drama, and so everybody was like, it's him, look. He was just so easy.
Okay, next up is Lee.
Holy shit, Lee.
I think y'all want to start.
Oh my god, Lee and I are totally cool now, but damn, the way he played this game. Oh, it was too much. It was the fact that I had woken up and looked at the house chat and he goes, I will give everyone $4 for each vote. $4 going once, $4 going twice. And I'm literally like, what's going on? But he was so friendly before we got put up together. He was so good about like making like a friendly connection and then diving right into gameplay. He's so good at that. But,
I didn't get that same experience with Lee as you did. I got a very cold experience from Lee. He never ever messaged me unless he actually needed information. I knew that he was in everybody's ear and did not want to work with me. And I think flirting with people that are 10 years younger than you is.
I do feel like, sorry, no, Zach, you go. I'll add later.
Lee did flirt with me. We were Lee. Just kidding.
But, you are the hottest house guest.
You know, if he wants to flirt and it's gonna help my game, hey.
It didn't help his game.
It didn't help his game, but hey, I'll take the money. You know.
He's a great person. Like probably outside of this, he's probably wonderful. Yeah, but the experience that I had was not.
Yeah, he's great. He was just playing a really, really messy game. And I was working with him like from day one, as it's been called out. Me, Brian, and Rachel were working together with Lee. And like that started from day one, and I made that. And I felt like I was really close to all three of them. But at a certain point, I felt like Lee had Brian more than me. I felt like Brian had Rachel more than me. I felt like Lee and Rachel had more, like they were closer than me. And I felt like I had just become the fourth wheel. And I was really happy when Thomas did backdoor Lee, because he'd known too much of my game at that point. And it was like, I thought he was really set up to like go far. And I don't think really anyone else would have taken the shot at Lee.
No, so, it was good that Thomas did. It was just like a perfect storm of like everybody's story came together, and he really just overplayed.
Yeah, he overplayed, and he was a bit overbearing in his campaign to me. Like not even the bribery stuff. Like I got like 8 messages in a row.
Yeah.
Which I had already
sent me like 8 messages being like self-evict, 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 and I was like, I'm gonna make frappuccinos, bro.
And like, I don't know, I was close to him from the beginning, but I'm like, dude, this isn't it. And he knows that, and it's still all lovely. But
yeah, it was game-wise, it was just such a quick flip of like, we're buddy and we're really good friends, to self-evict because you don't deserve to be here, basically. He didn't say that, he did not say that. But I felt that way. But yeah, it also kind of felt like he was only talking to me to take me to the end to be like an easy beat, but
right. No.
But I mean, honestly, outside of the game, all cool, all good. In the game, holy shit.
Yeah. Literally.
Next up is Sandy.
Oh, Kaka.
Kaka Queen.
Kaka! I didn't get to talk to her very much.
I think that's the case with all of us, yeah.
Sandy and I called often. Actually, like Sandy and I were really close. She wanted to work with us. She wanted to work with the outline people, like the people that weren't close to Rachel. She was really, she was really nice. She wanted to start something. The week she wanted to start something, she went home. So she really had no chance. It kind of sucks. I wish we would have seen more of Sandy because she was so nice, but just did not have connections.
Yeah, she was super nice. And she's so badass in and out of games. Like,
Period.
she also was not afraid to like voice her opinion within the game and call people out, and just she was so bold, and I loved that. But I just at this point in the game, I still wasn't crazy active because of work, and so I just never got a chance to be able to talk to her. She also didn't like me because of that, but like, yeah, I get it.
For me, I love Sandy. Like, I think she was a really fun, like, she was fun on the Zooms. She was like a good energy to the game, like just having that mom figure there. And for that, I had a ton of respect for her. And it was just a situation where, like, I don't know, she didn't try, like, she never really reached out to me, and I never really reached out to her. But that was just in a situation where I was trying to lay low in the game, and I felt like I was pretty good with who I had already. So I didn't feel like the need to work with Sandy. And at that eviction, Brian had wanted Madison to go home instead of Sandy. But like, and that was the reason he said he turned on Rachel, because we didn't want to vote Madison out. But I was one of the only people who was willing to vote Madison out that round for Brian. And at that point, everyone was voting out Sandy. And I was going to do that just for Brian, but I couldn't because no one was going to vote for Sandy to stay. So,
everybody got too scared that round.
Yeah. So I was like, whatever. It is what it is. And she'll forever be the caca queen of calling me out. And
amazing.
She was the third one out of 4 evictions to do so. So
Period.
I wear it with a badge of honor, caca.
Okay, next up is Rachel.
I'll go first. Rachel, I love you. From day one, we were called out, whatever, as besties, best friends. I don't think so much is what she said. And you know what? That hurt my feelings because me and Rachel are really good friends. We were on Zoom calls like every single night. And yeah, like we were really close, but don't get me wrong. I knew Rachel was a huge threat in this game. And I knew how bad she wanted to play. But for a lot of my game, it was just to have Rachel as a shield for myself, because I always knew that she was going to get targeted before me. So it was a part of the game just to work with her. And she was a great ally, except for when she told me that I couldn't win comps and that I didn't deserve to be picked for house guest choice. And you know what? Maybe it wouldn't have been a tie that week if she kept going, because it really hurt my feelings, Rachel. And yeah, I love Rachel. She's a really strong player, and she should be proud of herself because, I mean, hey, the person that took her out is in the final 3 right now. So she played a great game, and she got taken out by a great player. So
that was an insane time. I didn't talk to her a whole bunch, but I knew who she was. Like when the cast reveal was up, I was like, I know exactly who this girl is, because she had played a game with somebody that I know, who I was following in org that my friend was in, and she just so happened to be there. And I guess they were really good friends, and that's how I knew her. And the only thing that was a bit of a turnoff though was she approached me and she's like, I know who you are. We should work together. And I was like, oh, dang it. And I was like, not the personal card. So that was kind of a huge turnoff for me, because I wanted to work with people, and I wanted people to want to work with me too, because they saw that I could have been a good player, basically, rather than like right off the bat, I associate you and I know you. But that's just how I saw it. Otherwise, like, she's such a good player. Oh my God. And the way she talks to people, I'm like, I don't know what English classes you were taking, but you are so convincing. Like, debate and argumentation, she knew exactly what to say. She knew exactly how to appease people and talk to them and convince them to work with her. Like, she managed to flip the house back on her or whatever. Somehow things happened, but she was an insane player. And I was like, we're here, and she's going to make it all the way to the end if she stays longer.
Mm-hmm. I had the exact same experience. Right off the bat, we had a common friend. And so she was like, TJ Bond, you and me. But she was such a big threat in this game. And so when the opportunity came and you were like, let's do Rachel, we were like, we have the numbers, let's do it. And she was just such a big threat. Like, she should take it as a compliment because we had to work hard. We all had to lie. Like, it was hard to get her out.
It 100% had to be a
It was a team effort.
Yeah, it had to have been a quiet team effort. It had to happen.
Exactly.
In the way
and it shaped the game. It really opened everything.
As much as I love Rachel, y'all doing that opened my game up tremendously.
100%.
So I was like, as much as I was upset with it, I think my game got a lot better when she was gone.
Yeah.
So
it really let you like build your own portfolio basically, which is cool, rather than it looking like, oh, me and Rachel did this, me and Rachel did that. It really did let you like do so much more in the game that like you wanted to do without it being associated with her.
Yeah. Like this right here. Wait, like I said around whatever to Caleb, I think me, you, and Beth should work together. And then that went back to Brian, which went back to Rachel. And then
we'll get to Brian. We'll get to Brian.
But I don't want to. And then Rachel's like, do you have a final 3 with Beth and Caleb? And I'm like, no.
Maybe.
Okay, but the funniest part is that never came back to me. Right. And then like so many rounds later, Caleb goes, did you ever know about this? And I went, is this a joke? And then you brought it up a few days later, and I was like,
this isn't a joke.
Did I miss these messages?
Yeah, no. Like, it never happened just because before I even tried to like, I asked Caleb, I'm like, hey, like, are you down for this? He's like, yes. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, you were just like, weren't there whatever day. And I wanted to get you on a call to do it. And I'm like, let's see what she thinks. And like before you could even do that, like Rachel knew about it. And I'm like,
dude, I would have been so for it. 100%.
It was just so random. It was so random.
Yeah, because like no one would have expected it because Caleb and I were kind of just like in our own little zones, and then like Zach was associated with everybody else in like that little group, and so it would have been so unexpected.
I mean, here we are. Hey,
hello.
Here we are.
Hey, you guys, you want to make an alliance and get the prods out?
No.
It was that. Let's.
Hi, Rachel. Love you, Rachel.
But yeah, Rachel was a power to be reckoned with.
So next is Jacob.
No.
Jacob, such a confusing game, man. You played so passively, and like you were so hard to read most of the time. Like I wanted to work with you so badly. Like we had that 4, you, me, Beth, and Brian. Like we were a 4. Like we could have done something, and then you tanked your game.
Dude,
what a week.
We probably would have kept that 4 for a really long time if Jacob had not done that. I don't get it. That one,
he
that
saved
weird
Julia
little,
for, yeah,
the veto, the flipperoo thing. That was a whole thing because I literally told him, I'm like, take down Julia. I'm putting up Rachel, and then
you know what he was doing.
He goes, okay, and then he goes, but what if we didn't do that?
Right.
And I was like,
I wasn't involved with that, so I have nothing to say other than Jacob is a great guy, and we never really worked together. We talked about the challenge, and we always had each other's backs. But nothing was like solidified. And I was really I would say I was really sad that he was evicted, but he already knows the whole ordeal of how he went out and why it happened. So I'm not going to reiterate it because he's going to get triggered. But Jacob, you're just a king, and you kind of got sniped, and I'm sorry about it, but it is what it is.
A legend.
Literally the sweetest person in the world.
What a soul.
And so good at talking. Like,
yes.
So well spoken. And
he always raised his hand on the Zoom if he had something to say. He didn't want to interrupt anyone.
Mm-hmm. Shout out.
Just a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. America's favorite.
Period.
Okay, and next we are moving into the jury phase now. So the first juror was Constance.
Okay, so first off,
he dodged so many hoops.
Literally, Constance changed my point of view of him in this game 180. Like
100%.
seriously, he came in here and he had Dylan put a target on his back, and he came in here and he was himself, and he like showed his true colors and like apologized when he was wrong. Like he lied about me week 1 or 2, and he came to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry I lied," and just completely changed my point of view. So it was he was one of my closest allies, so it was super hard to vote him out. Like
It was the hardest thing.
seriously, he's so nice.
He was also one of my allies for a really long time, and I think he was one of the first players that I was like regularly calling with a good amount, and it was always just like fun phone calls. He's so fun to talk to. He does karaoke all the time. It's my favorite thing. But seriously, my exactly same thing, point of view changed of him completely, which I wasn't expecting, and like he just showed a whole side that like I wasn't expecting at all.
I don't have a similar experience, but you know, me and Constance before this game, we'd played a game together, and we fought, and it was already said before, and it wasn't anything other than I thought he was really fake, and I still feel that way, but I think he played a really tremendous game given the hand that he was dealt, because he like him winning that veto, he should have been gone that week.
Right.
And he won that veto and he stayed in that game and he flipped his whole narrative, and he had his thing with Brian, he had his thing with y'all. And like I saw all this and I'm like, y'all, like no one's gonna get rid of Constance. What's happening here? And like I knew he would never was gonna work with me, like never. But we would still call every now and then. And like every time we called, like he would just give me information and I would be tight-lipped. And I'm like, I don't know why Constance is telling me this, but you bet your ass I'm about to run to Austin and say exactly what Constance told me and get him on the block. You bet your ass I am.
Right. Oh
you
my
bet your ass I am.
That week, I could not believe Austin. There was a 4-person alliance of me, Constance, Austin, and Brian. And we did not know, like it did not make sense in my mind why Austin would put Constance up. The girls played him that week. Like that whole week, Constance should not have gone home this week.
We gotta stop saying the girls.
Was it you?
I was a pretty little girl that week too. So
I'm also a girl, but I was a good one.
I think we did a good thing in the girls. But...
Right. No, I think Austin got played that round, and like Constance going home was like such a mistake on his part.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, because like considering he went next, I think
exactly
it might have been a mistake. I think if Austin really just wanted to make the move, he should have just done Brian and Thomas straight up. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why he nominated Beth. I think that was the dumbest part of it all.
He specifically said that he like put me up as a pawn.
Yeah.
But at jury with the lockdown twist, you can't be making pawns. Like
yeah,
I don't think he was really like he didn't think it through, and I think me being safe that week really threw him for a loop, because
his whole target was you. He didn't have a plan.
He didn't have any other targets. And when you're playing this game, you got to have more than one. You have to have a list. And you can't work with everyone. So
he was
working with everyone except for me. And I was and his game got exploded because of the twist.
Right.
And so, unfortunately, Constance was the explosion of that. So sorry, Constance, but
a legend, truly.
Seriously,
a person.
So you started to mention Austin, so we will move on to Austin.
We never had a smoke session. I was always too busy, but he was seriously the sweetest to me at the beginning. And then as the game went on, he just felt really genuine. He truly was like playing a genuine game with me. And when he was putting me up, I guilt tripped the shit out of him. I was like, oh, I'm going to go home. And he goes, no, you're not. I promise you're not. And I'm like, I don't know. I might. And he would just, I feel so bad. Sorry, Austin. But even when he put me up, he like was trying so genuinely hard to be like, this isn't to send you home at all. Like, you are not the target. He was just very genuine with me. That's what it felt like. But I don't know what happened that round.
I could explain a little bit.
Yeah.
So as we all knew, me and Madison and Julia were working together after the circle night. So like I had not talked to those girls at all, like before Rachel's eviction. And then that night, my birthday party, we were bonded together by our mutual disdain for Brian Spencer, where we basically were saying like, hey, we are going to get Brian out of this game because no, he just lied to all of us for no reason, because I had Brian's back. That was okay. We're gonna get to Brian, but like,
yeah, we'll get to him.
But that's how we were born. And at that moment when Madison won HOH, I thought that she was gonna do Brian and Thomas. That was all of our plans had we won the double HOH. At least that was my plan. That was Julia's plan. But Brian talked himself out of it somehow, which I was like,
swore on his family.
And he did it the week before too. So at that moment, I was like, damn, this Brian guy, like, he's got to go, because he was able to win competitions, but also, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Brian. But, and so basically, Brian won the veto, beat me by 1 second when he would have been backdoored that week. And it was a situation where Madison had to choose between me and Julia or Austin. And the four of us did have a chat together that we made the round before. And so it was like, shit, one of us is going home. And I felt me and Julia were closer at that point than Austin was. So Austin kind of got fucked. Yeah. And I did try to keep Austin that round over you, Caleb. It's true.
I heard that.
I explained it to you right afterwards, because I don't know, at that point, I had just made up with Austin, and he had his second HOH reign. I felt like he could definitely get another one. I felt like I would definitely be good this time. So I was like, why not keep him? But the votes just were not there. So I said, peace out, Girl Scout, and had to let it go because he was never really my number one.
Oh, speaking of, he was my number one. I was his number one. Him and I were on call probably every day. Like, we had smoke sessions. We like stayed up late. It was wonderful. I missed him so much when he got evicted. Like, it was so hard to be sitting next to him on eviction night. He was playing such a messy game and did not tell me that he was with the girls and Zach, so he really just kind of shot himself in the foot. But I love Austin very much. He is truly one of my favorite people.
He's so sweet. I think his only downfall was that he was working with everybody except
exactly.
Zach. He was like, but maybe Zach, maybe a little bit.
Okay, we can now move on to Madison.
Kim Rat! Oh, I love Madison. She is great. I don't know where to start. So I wanted to work with Madison so bad because we are both 9th placers in Trinity, and we had bonded over that when I got 9th in my last season. And I'm like, Madison's here, good week. Like, I want to work with her in this game. And it never came to fruition until the jury happened. And at that point, like, she was a ride or die player. She had my back when she really shouldn't have. She had my back. Like, I felt like Austin definitely would have had her back more than I would have had her back. And she is just such a sweet angel. And the round she went was probably the hardest round of the game for me, only because that's when I felt like I was in the most danger, because I was this close to getting backdoored, like this close, because Brian was going to save Madison with the block and Thomas was going to put me up because he said I was playing in the middle. Maybe I was, but but he was very close to doing so, and I had to put on some lipstick and kiss some ass to make sure that didn't happen. And unfortunately, between the two, Madison and Julia, I had to weigh my options, and Madison leaving made more sense for me. So that's why I evicted her. But she is still really great and an amazing ally.
She definitely seemed so sweet, and I wanted to work with her so badly, but we just never got a chance to be able to talk to each other because her first week was rough and my first week was rough, or first few rounds. But she seemed so sweet, and I really so badly wanted to work with her. And then there was that whole thing where it was like, you guys were all working together, and I was like, I'll stick over here. I don't know about that. But
we wanted to work with you, Beth, so badly. We wanted you in the crew so bad. Like, we had our name planned out. I'm like, okay, if we get Beth, we're gonna be the Powerpuff Girls. I'm Mojo Jojo, and y'all are the Julia, you're Buttercup. Beth will be Blossom, and you can be whatever. Like it was planned. Like I wanted it to work out so badly. But
I'm so sad. I wanted so badly to work with her because she just seemed like a great player. She seemed great to talk to. I thought we would have vibed so well.
Oh yeah, y'all would have had a smoke test too. Anytime I was on a call with her, she was ripping her bong. Love that.
It's so fun. I literally would message her and I'd be like, "Hey, I'm really high," and she would go, "I just smoked." I go, "Love this for us," and that was like the extent of our conversation. Yeah. But I'm so sad we didn't get to work together. And then in the end, between her and Julia, I was like, Julia has talked to me much more regarding some game than Madison has. So in the end, I had to just vote Madison out because I didn't know how to read her.
Yeah. Madison and I were never on the same side of the house. So like when it was her and Julia and I had a relationship. So it was a pretty easy decision. She was very, very nice. Her energy is immaculate. The energy she brings forward.
Her and Thomas are so pretty together.
Oh, yeah. They make beautiful babies.
I thought there was like, shut up! I would date this man.
And she was so funny on some of those calls.
Oh my god, she was so chaotic sometimes. Like but not in a way where I was like, oh, that's rude, but in a way where it's like you can tell she was panicking a little bit, and then it would just get very chaotic, and I would just be like, ooh, the tea is spicy hot. But she was also a firecracker for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, we can now move on to Thomas.
Boy, bye. I love Thomas.
Seriously.
100%.
He's like one of the nicest people.
He was so sweet. Also a firecracker. He was so entertaining. He was not afraid to be like, Zach, fuck you. Like he would, like I told him, I was like, please don't be angry at me on the call, but I'm gonna I'm gonna nom you, or whatever I did. And he's just like, it's fine. I'm like, no, don't yell at me. You will make me cry.
And in that moment, he texts me and goes, what the fuck did you say to Beth to get her to nominate me? I'm like, I said, Beth makes her own decisions, love. Like, he did not say it like that. But he said, I know you had something to do with this. My bullshit meter is going off. And I'm like, Thomas.
Oh my God, Thomas.
Like, he was really coming for me. And I'm like, you know what? Like, you were about to backdoor me last week, so don't try me. But me and Thomas, like, we were working together from like week 3. It was me, Brian, Thomas, and Rachel. We were the besties. And we would get on call together and make fun of Thomas for living in an igloo because he's from Canada and he lives in the North Pole. And I love how even though he likes ketchup, I would love our discussions of how much he loves ketchup and how much I hate it, because he really told me he was going to evict me because I liked ketchup. I didn't like ketchup. And you know what? I believed him.
That's fair though.
Yeah, but Thomas is hilarious. And our little fight that we had that was for no reason because I wasn't even mad at Thomas was hilarious, where he says, boy, bye.
Oh my God. Him and I always could not trust Thomas. Just something in the back of my mind was like, he does not trust me at all. But we really like got close at the end, and he was like, let's take Zach out. So it was like, honestly, he was like, let's take Zach out. He was like, you, me, Beth, Brian, we gotta go. I was like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever. So he was amazing. He got, like you said earlier, he got sniped. Like he got fucked.
It was purely an accident.
I do apologize. I do. I had to look at the scenarios that were coming up, and I'm
He
like,
should not have told you he would have nominated you. That he should have not told you.
like he really like
Yeah.
I really wanted to keep Thomas. Like I genuinely wanted to evict Brian. Like genuinely.
Yeah, right.
And like he like him and Brian were messaging me at the same exact time because they were on call with each other.
Mhm.
So they're texting me like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm like, "Y'all are clearly on call if you're messaging me at the exact same time." I'm like, I'm not responding to either of you right now because like it's just gonna go to the other one. And like I have Brian saying, "I swear on my family, on my grave, on my mother, on my everything, on my this, on my that I will not evict you and all this." And I'm like Brian, like, and he had been swearing more than once in like the game already, and I was like very peeved off by it. But this time I did believe it, and I was like, you know what? Thomas is literally going to nominate me and Julia if he wins next week. Why am I going to keep it? Like it didn't make sense for me at that moment. And I feel like had Thomas stayed, he could have very easily been in my spot right now. So
100%, he wanted to be.
It was the plan.
Yeah, he was honestly, his gameplay was like amazing. Like his social skills, he did not know anybody coming in, and he played so well. So him making it to 6th is like was beautiful.
Yeah, it was so good. I didn't know him at all until towards the end when everything kind of blew up with Rachel, and he was like, "I owe you my life," and I was like, "Let's go!" And then sending him home was such a mistake, and I remember I guilt tripped the fuck out of Zach because he was like, it made sense. Like he sends me a whole thing, and then I finally was just like,
she said, "I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed." And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
mom!"
Oh my god. I did vote to evict Brian that week.
It made sense, and I was like, okay, whatever. But I was like, rip Thomas. He did not deserve this.
No.
And he said I lied to him, but I never lied to him in that moment. Like I told him straight up. I told everyone. I didn't tell you, Beth, but I told everyone beforehand. Like it switched at like 10:30, and the vote was at 11:30 because I was putting off talking to Brian because I genuinely did not want to do it because I'm like, I know he's about to change my mind right now, and I don't want to do it. But I call him, and he's like, "I'll literally take you to final 2. I'll literally do all this," and I'm just like, blah 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 blah. But
Lie.
But whatever. And yeah, like I just had to do it. And like I genuinely was not, oh, this is another genuinely, but I wasn't, oh, actually, wait, is this wrong? No, wait, that was the round before. I forgot to talk about escaping Julia because it was supposed to be Madison. Like Julia was supposed to go instead of Madison. This is sorry. But like Brian, okay, whatever. We'll get to that with Brian. But yeah, Thomas was sniped. I'm sorry, Thomas. Love you, bestie, forever. Yeah.
Dude, she's the best.
Okay. So now we can move on to Brian.
Who wants to go first?
I
was gonna win the whole thing.
I can go first. Brian. Okay. Day 1 of the game, I see Brian's from New York. I see he's from Long Island. I see he goes to Oneonta. I have friends in real life that go to Oneonta. Like he's my age. We find out we're both born like April. He's April 23rd. I'm April 27th. Like we had so much in common. And I'm like, this is my guy. Like final 2. Like we never said it, but I'm like, this is my final 2. Like dead ass. Like he votes for me on the first HOH to win. And I'm like, oh, like he really trusts me. And we make all these alliances together. Like I felt really good with him. I felt like he was getting closer to Rachel and he was getting closer to Lee. So I felt like I was being put in the back seat. And I was like, that kind of hurts. And I knew how much he was involved in that I wasn't involved in. So that hurt because I was like, damn, like Brian, like I'm literally with you and you're having all these things. I'm like, I don't know why you're doing all this stuff. Like you already have people that have your back. Why do you have to do all these other things? So I was like, whatever. And when he won HOH, he wanted to get Madison out, but it just couldn't happen. Excuse me. It just couldn't happen. And then for some reason, he held a grudge against me and Rachel for that, when really it was his best friend Thomas and everyone else who was involved with that. and I was one of the only people who had his back. So I was really shocked. I can't really say I was really shocked, but I was surprised when he voted out Rachel because I felt for him that wasn't a good move. I mean, he made it to Final Five, so maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that was the best thing for him because he really was in a situation in jury where he had to win all of those vetoes, or it could have been him. And that's what he did. So shout out to him. But he was sitting pretty, and for some reason he just wanted to make himself the biggest threat. And I think he did it a little too early. And he fully lost my trust in that moment. And as soon as when you lied to me on my birthday, do not expect me to turn around and be best buddies with you because I'm not. And that's exactly what it was. And every single round of that jury, I ran to people and I'm like, this is what Brian did. Here are the lines I was in with Brian. Here's what he was doing. Here's this. Here's what he told me. I was running back to the girls. I was still talking with Brian and Thomas. I'm like, here's what they're talking about you. And like, I would never tell them anything, but I was just like, Brian, we can continue to work together, but we're just going to go after other people. And then my two targets were the first two of the jury. So at that point, I was like, Brian and Thomas, you better watch out because I'm coming for you next. And that's exactly what happened. So after our long fought endurance battle, I knew he would have kept me safe that week. At least that's what he told me. But I didn't want to believe that. And I was just going with, okay, like if he wins veto, let me keep these as the noms in case like he really did mean genuine. Like I'm gonna put the noms that he wanted first just to be genuine to him. And if he wins veto next week, we can be best buddies.
The noms were us, by the way. The noms were literally Beth and me. Yeah.
The noms were y'all, but there was
Yeah.
5 people and it wasn't gonna be Julia.
Mhm.
And I had just battled Brian for 6 hours, so I didn't really want to put him on the block right away. But unbeknownst to y'all, like he was literally the target the whole time. I did not sit there with a spoon in my mouth for 6 fucking hours to take out Beth. Like, no, like why would I do that? Beth has not done anything to me. And like she hasn't hurt me in this game. Why am I gonna stick a spoon in my mouth and have sores all over my mouth for a day, have drool all over my pillows because I can't close my mouth? Why am I gonna do that to take out Beth? No, Brian, it's you, dumbass. You're going home. So I knew I had to win that fucking veto and send his ass home. And that's what I wanted to do. And he wants to say I did it too early. I think I didn't have any other shot to do it because he would have very easily could have won that HOH and that veto, and he could easily have won that final HOH and he would have won the game. So
I was there his entire game. Like him and I connected like right away early on. But I think he was that way with everybody. He saw me as like an easy person to drag to the end, right? But
I didn't talk to him at all.
Really? Because him and I talked every day. Like honestly, like I think I was closer to him than I was Austin, but I didn't trust him as much. Like we talked every single day. And I know he did. That's the thing. And then we got to the end. First, he didn't use the veto on me in the double, which I knew was like, okay, I can't trust you. And then I hear that he's literally swearing on his family to put me and Beth up. And like, I thought we were final too. So there was no love loss. Like I just can't.
There is more to that because right before that, he was going to me telling me that he swore on his entire life, his family, everything, that if I used veto on him, he would keep me safe. And then I turned around and I went, I can't risk it. You are too good of a player. I'm sorry. And I told him the truth. I felt horrible being like, I'm going to nominate you. But I was like, I do not see myself having a chance to be able to do this again in the future unless you're at the very end. And I'm like, I can't risk you being at the very end because you were going to win the whole thing.
Exactly.
And then he turned around as soon as I officially said, I'm not using the veto. He turned around, went to everybody else and was swearing up and down the same thing. And I was like,
he completely switched at the end too. Like it was like, he was a different person.
Yeah. It was a similar situation to Lee. Like they're similar players where they will make all these alliances and they will be chaotic with every single person. And then when it's their ass in their line, they will throw that away. And whoever is listening to the bullshit, they will go with. And at that moment, it was listening to his bullshit. So
yeah,
I would have taken him to the final too. Like I was literally like, he called me a sheep, but I was his sheep. Like I was ready. Like seriously.
I'm burping crazy. Sorry, y'all.
When that whole thing happened, because I didn't use a veto on him, and then Thomas was sent home, and I sat there and I was like, I'm fucked. I'm absolutely screwed. And I couldn't do anything about it. And then the whole HOH and the veto things were happening, and I was pissed at Zach. I was so upset, and I was like, I'm gonna match my fucking placement in my last game. So bad, but whatever.
It all worked out.
And Zach kept saying like, everything's fine, everything's okay, like it's no hate. And I was like, all love, brother, it's fine. And then turned around as soon as we started figuring out voting and all that stuff. He was like, I wanted to do it myself. And I was like, fuck you.
No, Beth, because he stabbed me in the back and I wanted to do the same thing to him. So
well, he was a power player and
you already got Rachel. I wanted my thing.
No, I wanted selfish.
I'm selfish.
I sat there and I was like, my love for Zach through the roof.
Because he's like, you're gonna regret this not taking out Beth. And I'm like, maybe I will, but girl winner over you. I don't give a fuck, Brian. Fuck you. You lied to me. And
he was a really nice person though.
He was like, so nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Like that in that competition, we were Snapchatting each other the whole time, trying to like make each other laugh. Like he sent me TikToks to scare me and get the egg off. And I felt really bad. He's like, you promise I won't get fucked? And I'm like,
maybe.
I put my thumbs up. No, like I actually literally did have my fingers crossed underneath. Because,
wow.
Yeah.
He was just, oh my God, such a power player. Was really, truly gonna get all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. Sorry, Brian.
Sorry, Brian.
Okay, and lastly, our latest evicted house guest, Julia.
I miss her. We didn't talk, but she just brought such a good energy to calls, and she was always going, "Hey guys, just
ASMR queen."
Yes, and I literally would sit there and I'd be like, she's so nice. I wanted to work with her. There was a whole group of people I wanted to work with, and it was literally Zach, Julia, Madison, all of them. But because of the way everything divided, I didn't know that evicting Rachel was going to cause such a divide. And I sat there, I was like, I want to work with these guys. I want to work with Julia. And all of a sudden I was like, they're all the way over there on the other side of the house. All right.
You split the house in two. Literally right down the middle.
I was like, oh, that's crazy, bro. But if it wasn't for that type of split, I would have worked with Julia. I would have gone out of my way to be like, hey, bitch, I'm comfortable talking to people now. Let's talk.
Right.
She just was so fun, and like she always kept her cool.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that about her. She was always respectful, always kept her cool, and she was very strictly like gameplay when she needed to like do things that were difficult.
You could go. You guys were close.
Julia's my bestie. I love Julia. Like, we did not speak at all pre-jury. And like we talked a little bit, and at the beginning of the game, it was a situation where I knew her and Austin hosted a game together. And after me and Rachel, they were probably the most like obvious pair of people. So I said to Austin week 2, I'm like, hey, like me and Rachel can look out for you and Julia. Like it can be a thing, Austin. And then I got nominated. So I was like, cool. And at that point, I was just like, Julia's got to go. Like she just won a whole game where like the things was based off competitions. She won the first veto, and like she's gonna win going out, which she didn't. But love you, Julia. But we could have used a few more HOHs in there. And I don't know. At like once Rachel was gone, that literally became my best friend in the game. Like we were like, damn, that's final two right there. Like hands together, shake. Like that was us. Like because we were both like, wait, was Rachel your final two? Yeah, Rachel was my final two. Looks like we need a new one. So that's what we were just like chilling. Like that's us now. And we were able to just like from the bottom of the game to like pull off some things that just like saved our asses. And I don't really know how we were able to do it, but I'm really proud of us for doing it. And genuinely, she's my favorite ally I've ever had in one of these games. And she probably hates me because she's like halfway through the like a few rounds ago, she's like, fuck you, Zach, because because if I'm ever next to you on the block, I'm going home. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. And she's like, literally, whatever. I'm sheeping at this point, and I'm like, thanks. And yeah, she's great. I think she probably would have evicted me tonight though had she won, but still love her.
Gonna.
Yeah.
She was gonna. I knew she was.
Yeah, she had a plan.
She was going to.
I really loved her. I really loved Julia.
I knew she
never
was because I called her.
awesome.
I called her this morning. I'm like, you're evicting me, right? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you're evicting me. Okay, cool.
She goes, anyways, I'm at Chick-fil-A.
She was being really short with me and she didn't really want to message, so I'm like, whatever. But had she evicted me, I don't really know. I don't think she would have won unless she took you, Caleb. So that is what it is, Julia. And love you, but you're a rat, and I only work with rats, so you're my people.
Okay. So with that, we have now gone through everybody. So congratulations to you three on making it to the final three in likely 2 days, depending on scheduling. One of you will be crowned as the winner of the season. It's been a fun ride so far. There's still a lot of game left to play. So good luck to all three of you, and thank you guys